A very good morning to all the students of class 12th political science. And students, welcome back to the online classes here. As you know very well, we were doing the fourth chapter of our second book, and the chapter name is India's Foreign Policy. And in the last video we had learnt about the features of Nehru's foreign policy, and in revision we had also seen some of the important five principles of Indian foreign policy, which we called as Panchsheel also. So today the topic which we shall be taking up is India-China relations, or we also call it SINO. So wherever you find the word SINO, it means China. So India-China relations. And I think this is one of the most important topic of your syllabus for this particular year, as currently you can see, if you talk about the current affairs, as you can see in the news channels, newspapers, everywhere, this is a current situation of India and China relations, where there is a lot of conflicts and disturbance going on. From the last month of June, continuously there has been conflicts and tension on the border or region of India and China. So this topic for the board exams, this becomes most important according to me. I think there is 100% a question will be coming on the relationship of India and China. Okay, and you will have to present the latest data for answering this question. Okay, as this topic has also been updated in the new syllabus for you, so I shall be trying and giving you the latest information and also the previous important base which you require to understand the Indo-China relationship. Okay, so we shall be studying about peace as well as conflict with China. So we'll see how we started with our relationship with China after our independence, and what were the areas of peace and what were the regions and areas of conflicts with China. So before you study this chapter, you also need to give a short revision to the topic which we read in the chapter 4 of the first book, Contemporary World Politics. Chapter was Alternative Centers of Power. Later on this has become New Centers of Power, but there is a topic Rise of Chinese Economy. So for the introduction part, I want you to revise that part of the Rise of Chinese Economy, where you will get a introduction part of how about the background of the Chinese as a country. Okay, so before I start this, I shall like to tell you that after independence of People's Republic of China, okay, it became into being after the Communist Revolution of 1949 under the leadership of Mao. As we had discussed this in the chapter Alternative Centers of Power also, that after independence of People's Republic of China came into being. Okay, as you know, previously before the independence of People's Republic in China, there were two groups. One was supporting the communist revolution, the communist system, socialist system, and other was the nationalist. So in China, if you see the long history of China, there has been long dynastic rule in China for years, for centuries. But in 1800s and 90s, there were two groups. One was supporting the communalism and other was nationalist. Finally there was a revolution in which the People's Republic of China came into being after the communist revolution of 1949, and under this leadership of Mao, they followed the Soviet system. As we had read in USSR, about the USSR we had already read about the socialist system. Same communist system or the socialist system was followed by the People's Republic of China, who got the independence in 1949. So here India got the independence in 1947 and China got independence in 1949, and this was the party called Communist Party, we can say, or the People's Republic of China, who followed communalism, who followed the socialist ideology of Soviet Union. So you need to understand this. So the very first point is here. In 1949, India was one of the first countries to recognize the Communist government of China. So as I told you that there was the Communist Party or the People's Republic of this, or we can say the Communist government of China was called PRC, People's Republic of China. Okay, after the revolution of communalism, they were the government, they formed the government, and this was supported or given the recognition by Nehru and India was the first country to give recognition to communist government of China. Okay, as India thought that this was for the betterment of the China, as there has been so much of disturbance and conflicts in China since decades, where there was lot of dynasties ruling over China at different parts, but now the whole of China was controlled by the communist government. So this was given the recognition by Nehru, which felt strongly for China. It had a lot of faith and good relations with China. So India wanted to make a good relations with China, as after the independence we had conflicts and war with Pakistan. So here we wanted to start with a positive note, a good relation with China. Moving to the second point, whereas on the other hand, the same members, or we can say the cabinet ministers of Nehru's minister Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was worried about the possible Chinese aggression, but Nehru thought it was unlikely. So Nehru had lot of faith and belief on China, whereas as we know Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was far-sighted, or we can say he had the power of sixth sense. He could feel that there could be in future a problem of Chinese aggression, where China could attack or have conflict on the basis of border issues or other problems with India and China. So Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was always worried about the possible Chinese aggression, but Nehru always thought that we are going to have a good relations with China. So this is how we started our relations with China on a very good positive note, as there were no such important issues and conflicts between India and China. Here Nehru and the Chinese premier here means like we have prime minister and president. So Mao was like the president of China, and this Zhou Enlai was like a prime minister of China at that particular time, just after independence. So here Nehru and Chinese premier, that is Zhou Enlai, both these two, they signed a Panchshil, or the five principles. Panch means five, Shil means principles of behavior. So what were those five principles of behavior on which the relationship of India and China was based? Those five principles were called Panchashil for the peaceful coexistence, and this was signed on 29th April 1954. So you need to remember, Panchashil between India and China was signed on 29th April 1954 between Nehru and Zhou Enlai. So you need to remember the names also in 1954. India and the Chinese premier, like prime minister, we have prime minister, there was Chinese premier who was Zhou Enlai. So India and the Chinese premier visited each other country amidst chants of Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai. So after 1950s, that is during 1954, Indian prime minister Nehru ji many times visited China in 1954. Same with the Chinese premier Zhou Enlai visited India, and there was a good brotherhood, good relation, strong positive start of the relationship of India and China. And there was a popular chant, or the slogan was also popular. You must have heard of it, Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai. This was very much important, and this was a start of a very good healthy relationship between India and China. So as we read, after the independence of India as well as after the independence of China, that is communist government of China, so there was a healthy relationship which started on a very positive note, as we have seen in till now. But now let's start what were the areas of conflicts. So issues of conflict between India and China, when everything was going perfect, everything was calm and stable, there was a situation of peace and harmony between India and China. So how the situation of conflicts and tensions arose between these two countries, as these two countries were also emerging good powers. So issue of conflicts between India and China, in this the very first point is Tibet issue. So if there is a question relating to the issues and conflict between India and China, so you will be starting with the Tibet issue, because this is the first very important factor which led to the conflict and tension between these two countries, that is India and China. So I haven't made a map for you, as the map of India and China and the border region of these two countries is very much clear to you. And while studying these notes, you can also keep a map if in front of you. So let's see what was the Tibet issue. First point, China claimed Tibet as its territory, whereas Tibet always asserted its independence. China claimed that Tibet, which is connected to the border with India, this particular country Tibet. This is not more anymore a country. Previously, this Tibet said that we are independent, but on the other hand, China said that from generations, our dynasties has been ruling over Tibet. But whereas Tibet always asserted its independence, it wanted to be an independent state. But China always wanted to, always have been dominating them, asserting them. So Tibet is also called the buffer state. Buffer state means this was India, and this was, we can say, Tibet, and this was China. So as we know, these two were the growing powerful countries, India and China. In between them, as we saw in the border, there is Tibet. So Tibet used to act as a buffer state which kept these two countries apart from each other, so there was less chances of any conflicts, tensions between India and China. But since China said that this region also belongs to China, or this region of Tibet, so it means China had merged its border with Indian border. So now the areas and the issues of conflicts and tension had started between China and India, as China had merged its border with India. Previously this was Tibet, but now Tibet has been completely annexed by China, and China claimed that this area of Tibet has been since ages under the control of China. So now there was a border issue between India and China. So this was the reason. So that is why if we say Tibet used to be a buffer state which kept these two power apart from each other. Okay, but now this part was merged with China, so there was an area of conflict now. So let's see what were the conflicts. In 1950, China took over the control of Tibet. Though the Panchshil in 1952, India conceded China's claim respecting each other's territorial integrity. Now we will also see one of the biggest mistake which India had done. Let's see. In 1950, China took over. So this was a year when China had completely annexed over the control of Tibet. Tibet was completely controlled by China. It's all the territory was controlled by China. And at the year, as we have seen in 1954, there was a signing of an agreement, that is Panchshil agreement, between India and China. And according to this, there will be always they shall not be interfering in the internal matters of each other's country, or they will also be respecting the other's territorial integrity. It means India is not going to involve in the tension between Tibet and China. So whatever is the problem between Tibet and China, India is not going to be interfering according to the agreement which has been signed already in the Panchshil in 1954. So that is why it's written in 1950. China took over control of Tibet through the Panchshil in 1954. India considered, it means India had accepted that okay, this part of Tibet had been a part of China. And now after signing Panchshil, India could not interfere in the matters of China and Tibet. So this was the mistake. India could have raised the objection here when China was trying to annex the territory of Tibet and also merging its border with India. So in 1958, there was an armed uprising in Tibet against China's occupation. So when China has annexed completely and controlled Tibet, but finally in 1980, 1958, the people of Tibet had raised their voice and they had raised arms uprising in Tibet. They had formed the army, and all the people wanted to be against China. They didn't wanted that China should invade Tibet. They wanted to be independent. So there was an armed uprising against the Chinese activities in Tibet, amidst severe suppression by the Chinese forces in 19. But all these armed uprisings and revolutions, or we can say resistance, was suppressed by the Chinese forces, as Chinese forces were very strong and very large at the time of 1958. So in 1959, these uprisings or demonstrations were suppressed by the Chinese army, and the, we can say, the spiritual leader Dalai Lama was the spiritual leader, we can say. Dalai Lama was the main leader, we can say, of Tibet. He crossed over into the Indian border, as Chinese wanted called him a traitor and wanted to catch him. So Dalai Lama crossed the border and Indian border and sought political asylum. India gave a political asylum, or as a refugee he sought a political asylum in India, which was guaranteed. So he was guaranteed, given the permission, as a political asylum to him, because he was the spiritual leader of Buddhism, and India had and Buddhism had taken its birth from India. So there were many Buddhist people in India, so Indian government had to support their uh, religious guru, we can say Dalai Lama. The Chinese government strongly protested against this and saw it as a breach of Panchsheel. Now here Chinese government was not happy about the activity or the anti-Chinese activities, that is the enemy of China, that is Dalai Lama, and India was helping Dalai Lama. So there was a conflict, and we can say a situation of tension between India and China, as India was going against the agreement of Panchsheel, where India has signed that we shall not be interfering in the matters, internal matters of each other's country. So there was a tension, as we have a friend. If my best friend makes a good friendship with my enemy, so I of course I shall be upset with my friend, that if I don't talk to that person, then why you are making a good friendship with that person. Same happened with the relationship with India and China, where India was supporting the enemy of China, so China was upset about it. Over the years, many Tibetan refugees have settled in India. So after that, when after 1959, when Dalai Lama had crossed the border and got the asylum in India, and this was supported by even the political opposition parties of India. So many refugees came to India and they settled. And Dalai Lama had made Dharamshala, as you know, Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh. Now he has made this place his home. Dalai Lama is still there. In India, Socialist Party and Jana Sangha, these two were the opposition party during the 1950s or in the beginning of 1960s. They also have supported the cause of Tibet independence. They also wanted that in Tibet should be independence and out of the control of China. So they also have supported the political asylum of Dalai Lama to India, where he is staying at Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh. He is one of the most sacred or the religious guru of Buddhism. Okay, many people follow him. So all these points which you have discussed are in relation to the Tibet issue. So this is one of the most important issue, and you will have to, you can add more points, but these are sufficient, I think, if you have to write the answer. And issues of conflict between India and China, this is the first point, Tibet issue, and you need to study it properly. You will have to write the answers or based on this also. And also the introduction part, you will have to read it properly. The peace and conflict with China, where I told you in 1949 India was one of the first country to recognize the communist government of China, PRC, People's Republic of China, okay, which was a communist party. So with this I come to the end of this topic, and in the next part I shall be taking the next topic. That is a vast topic, that is border issues. So if we are talking about the issues of conflict between India and China, first is Tibet issue, second is border issues. So we'll talk about the border conflicts and tensions between India and China, which is also the recently we have seen. So a lot of content we have, as recently there are many issues and tensions and conflicts between India and China relating to their borders in northern sector as well as in the northeastern sector. Okay, so this we shall be doing in the next video. Till then, thank you.